problem. It's Friday. No, it isn't Friday. It's Thursday. It's 5,
night,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And next week, by the way, it's Turkey Day, and I hope that all you folks will enjoy it. You know, it's a great. You know, I've always been happy about November because today is my older daughter's birthday.
Right.
And I always looked at her as a gift from Thanksgiving. That's the way it goes. Let's get right to Frankly Joe. Lynn planners are putting together a 5-year plan to increase its affordable housing stock. It's a catchy phrase. Lynn Housing Plan for All. Don't you love that?
Yeah, fantastic.
The now defunct Soviet Union loved 5-year plans. Problem is they didn't work out well, which got me to wondering why are Lynn's powers to be so enamored with a 5-year plan. Planners famously packaged their products in glowing and deceptive language. The Affordable Care Act, which was hardly affordable, is a good example, as is affirmative action, which was affirmative for some at the expense of others. Nevertheless, city planners and government wonks can't help themselves. Here's a sampling. A plan for inclusion growth meets the requirements of the Housing Protection Plan, HPP, a proactive strategy for planning and developing affordable housing. Meanwhile, Lynn has met and exceeded the state subsidized housing inventory formula. So, why Lynn's Housing Plan for All?
Right. I think we're at 12% of affordable housing.
12.5.
12.5%. And the law says 10%.
That's right.
But way above that. So we have enough
so
affordable housing.
Actually, we're at 30% subsidized. That's a phony statistic. That's a phony statistic they're using.
If you count all the other.
So isn't this basically a power play?
Of course it is. And it's just another study. They want to delay it another year because it's going to cost $70,000.
But what's the purpose of it?
The purpose of it to make everybody feel good that they think they're doing.
Why are they pushing for affordable housing in the city? Why are the city officials so intent upon? First of all, it's going to increase the base population, correct?
Right.
Isn't it?
It'll increase.
And what's the increase in the base population all about?
It's all about democratic power.
Thank you. That's the bottom line. Right. Now let's take a look at a clip about how it works out. 5-year plans. This is 1928. About the year you were born, Ralph.
Yeah.
On the 1st of October 1928, the Soviet Union introduced Joseph Stalin's first 5-year plan. The plan set a series of economic goals that were to be achieved between 1929 and 1934, with the intention of rapidly industrializing the country in case of war with the West. Based on Stalin's policy of socialism in one country, the 5-year plan called for a complete change in the culture of the Soviet Union that affected agriculture just as much as industry. A vital ingredient in being able to fulfill the industrial goals of the 5-year plan was increasing agricultural productivity, since this would release peasants and farm labourers from the land and allow them to become industrial workers. The first 5-year plan is therefore probably most famous for the introduction of the policy of collectivization, where hundreds of peasants were put together to work on enormous farms that covered thousands of acres. The dramatic increase in food output per peasant as a result of mechanization on these farms freed up former agricultural workers to move to the new factories instead, with the number of industrial workers almost doubling between 1928 and the end of the plan in 1932. However, significant opposition to the process of collectivization meant that overall productivity remained low in many areas and caused famines as party officials seized food for the cities but left the agricultural workers with nothing. In the factories, however, production soared. Although the targets were constantly revised to the point where the targets themselves could never actually be achieved, the first 5-year plan firmly set the USSR on the road to becoming a world superpower.
That's about it. That was
Yeah.
in 1928. How did it
Right.
work out, Avram? Socialism, communism, did it work?
In the short run, yes. In the long run, no.
Well, what happened in the 1990s when just before the USSR collapsed? Who was picking the potatoes out of the fields? Who was picking them? Do you know who it was? The military was. They had to bring in the army because the farmers wouldn't produce, because the farmers got paid whether they produced a crop or didn't produce a crop. You got your check every week or every month, however they paid them.
What's the problem with plans?
Plans that are made by people who aren't involved in the actual
In
work.
general. And anybody that has a plan. You have a plan, Avram, for something?
Yes.
What happens when the variables change? If you don't change the plan, or the end of the plan becomes no good, right?
Relatively speaking, but and the Chinese had a 20-year plan.
Exactly.
Which was more accurate than the 5-year plan of the Soviets.
And what happened in that 20-year plan? How many folks had to go by the board under Mao?
A lot, but at the same
A
time...
lot?
Well, actually a hell of a lot, but at the same time, they were much more productive.
The point simply being is that 5-year plans, or people come up with 5-year plans, which is control. Those are controls, right? Whether it was the Soviet Union, it's a socialist concept, and it evolves into what we call communism. Never work. And every society that's tried it. Right. I mentioned to Ralph, don't we have a thing called the Lynn Commons? Don't we have a thing called the Boston Commons?
Right.
Isn't that socialism?
That was, everyone got together. It was common. It was common land. Everybody worked it when they wanted to.
But what happened to it?
It failed. It completely
Of course
failed.
it failed. Jamestown was based on that same principle.
Right,
It
right,
failed,
right,
right?
right.
And that being the point. So beware of 5-year plans, folks. That's all I'm saying.
And that's what
The
we have in our
Summit.
transportation. All our transportation plans are 5-year, 1-year plans,
40-year plans.
40-year plans. It's never going to happen.
Maybe yes, maybe no, but
maybe.
the Summit. Lynn residents had an opportunity for their voices to be heard at the Lin Summit. They focused on 6 different items: arts and culture, economic development, housing, public safety, public health, and public transportation. All of which are good things, right?
Right.
What's missing here? Public Works.
Public Works, yes, is
Right.
missing. Right. Also, we can't know anything about it. The problem is they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let this station go in and film with audio. We couldn't hear anything. That we were not allowed to go in and listen to what they were saying.
Why?
What do you mean, at the Summit?
Yes, did you see that? Yes.
Why?
That's a good question. Now, why didn't they? Because I believe, I don't know, I believe that they were afraid because the general public was going to go, and they were afraid that too many people would complain to the politicians about this was wrong and that was wrong, and it would make them look bad. So, and they couldn't control that. So they want total control, and they didn't have total control. So that's why when this station, not us, but when the station tried to go in and try to tape an audio of it, they wouldn't let them. They wouldn't let them do it.
Our number here is 781-780-9460. But you would agree that art and culture is a good thing, a workshop on art and culture. And economic development is critical.
Right.
Critical. What about housing? Housing is popping up all over the place
Right.
now, particularly this word called affordable. Can you explain to me, Avram, what affordable means, affordable housing? You have any idea what it means?
Affordable means that if you don't make much, you can still afford to live.
Well, people get very confused about affordable. A lot
That's
of people,
basically what it comes down to.
See, people think it's Section 8. It isn't Section 8. What they say affordable housing is not. That's a different kind of a plan. And that kind of plan is for people making like $38,000, $40-something thousand a year. There's different levels. And they are allowed to get a reduction in their rent. But it's not like the Section 8 section, say, where you pay 30% of your income, basically. It's a different situation.
They're saying, in effect,
Right.
that you should be paying no more than 30% of your income, of your gross income, on rent. That's what they're saying.
No, that's not affordable housing. See how?
Oh, yes,
you're
it is.
getting it wrong. No.
We got it right up here now.
Oh.
I asked it before, and I'll ask it again. Does Lynn need more affordable housing? 781-780-9460. This is all they're talking about.
But see, you're wrong on that because there's two different situations. One is affordable, and one is low-income housing. The affordable is for people making up to maybe $50,000.
Yeah.
But because that's not enough to pay the $2,600, $3,000 rent, they get a break off. They pay.
Who
instead of
gets,
paying-
wait a minute. If they get a break, who are they getting the break from?
They're getting break from the
From
government.
whom?
The government is kicking in the
The
money.
government doesn't have any money. The government extorts money from people.
I understand that.
No.
They're getting it from
No,
us.
no, no.
Affordable housing is based on the fact that if a man gets the go for all to build an apartment complex, X amount of apartments have to be set aside for people who only have a certain income.
Okay.
Okay. What affordable housing comes down to, it's basically very simple. We don't need a major debate. If you cannot afford the current rate of what the market bears, then you get a break on the price.
Okay, so who pays for that? That's got to be spread somewhere. So that means the people who are paying market rate are paying a premium market rate to subsidize those who aren't.
Basically, yes.
So that's not basically yes, that's the mathematics
Well,
of
yes, that's what it comes
it.
down to.
So in effect, that is a burden on high-working, productive people, isn't it?
Which-
It's
and
an
they don't-
added burden.
And they don't like that.
So do you blame them?
Of course not.
My daughter lives in an apartment building. The rents are $6,000, $7,000 and higher.
Can she afford it?
Well, she can afford it.
Well, okay,
but
then.
believe
So
it or
that's-
not-
so it's affordable.
but because it was Boston, there are units in her building that are affordable, and they're not Section 8, but they're affordable.
Okay.
Okay, for somebody making, say, $48,000, maybe they only have
Someone
to pay.
making $48,000 can't live in Boston,
Well, they have to live somewhere.
but they can't live in Boston.
Not where my daughter lives, no. Well,
No, that's right, exactly
do,
right.
but they do.
Now, Avram said something very profound a couple of weeks ago, and I hope these folks remember. He said, why would somebody be willing to pay $3,000 a month rent while someone right below them in the same apartment is paying $1,000? That gonna happen?
No.
Of course not. So in the city of Lynn, if you're attracting more affordable housing, are you improving the economic development of the city?
Of course
or
not. Of
Right.
course not, no.
but
So why are they talking about it? So what is the whole purpose
They're
of
not-
the Lynn Housing for All? It's
I
a
have
nice
no
title.
idea. On Monroe Street, none of those apartments going to be affordable. None of them. They're all going to be market rate.
Is that a good or a bad thing, Ralph?
I think it's a good thing because
Okay.
more money. We need money in the 01, what I call the 019, 02 sector, the corridor. I call it the corridor, the 01902 corridor.
You
That-
keep
that's
talking
real-
about that zip code.
Yeah, because it's very important because
10,000 people there
it's
are below
getting,
whatever.
It's getting poorer
Okay.
and poorer. Okay,
But that's only one zip.
right.
All right?
But
The city
it
has
affects-
01, 02, 04, 05, right?
I understand that.
So we can't just focus in on one part. We have to look at the macro situation.
Right.
Affordable housing and Section 8s all come down under the same umbrella. People do not have the money to pay what they're supposed to pay.
I'm going to ask those folks out there, because they have to pick up the tab.
Right.
781-780-9460. Do you favor or don't you favor more affordable, or do we have enough? I mean, it's impacting our
Right,
school system
right.
something fierce, isn't it?
Right.
Affordable housing doesn't affect the people in your school system because the people in your school system can't even afford affordable housing.
Yes, but what happens is the affordable housing, people come with their families, right? And those kids have to go somewhere to be educated, right? That's the way it works. It's like a pyramid effect. Speaking of schools, the school committee did something recently, and let's put this up there. And they decided, no, this is STDs and teen pregnancy. There it is. And 2018, 57 under 18-year-old student pregnancies were recorded in the city of Lynn, 7 of which were actually second pregnancies. Lynn teen birth rate is 29.2 per thousand. Only 2 other communities have a higher rate, and that would be Lawrence at 13.5 or 34.5, and New Bedford at 31.6. The state average, meanwhile, is 8.5. And in this current year, there have been 21 cases of chlamydia recorded in the school system.
Well, that says it all.
But here's
Exactly.
here's the problem. That
Wait a minute, let him say.
That says it all what your city has come down to. Okay? Okay? If your city has that kind of a problem, then your city is definitely not.
So, ironically, we're third in line. There's 2 cities, New Bedford, right?
New Bedford
And Lawrence, who actually have higher.
Is that something to brag about?
No, I want to know, what do they have in common? Because unless you see, why is it that
New
these 3
Bedford-
communities have basically similar
They all have
statistics?
because they all have the same kind of people there.
So it's a demographic issue, isn't it?
It isn't a demographic. It's
Telephone.
the
Call.
All right, go ahead.
Call, go ahead, we have a call?
I don't see it. If I
No?
see it,
Oh.
I'll mention it. Do we have a call? If we have a call, put them on. Good evening.
Go ahead, you're
Hi,
on.
Joe.
Good evening.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Most of these teen pregnancies are probably not accidents. You can't forget that government check in the mail. They're getting rent, food, clothing, all free.
Yeah?
Right, right.
When the kid turns a certain age, they have another one.
Well, what's kind of shocking is the fact that these
It's
young
all
kids
about
are in
money.
some of them second pregnancies.
Right, you're right, Tim, you're right. And what Tim is, some girls actually try to get pregnant so they can get the housing and get the food stamps. They do. I know that for a fact.
That's all irrelevant. This is what you have living in your city.
Go ahead.
This is what you have living in your city. This is what occupies your city, and this is the kind of city that you have produced.
Was this discussed at the summit?
The hell with the summit.
My point being is that this is a critical issue, is it not? The school committee decided to allow, and I'm going to get to that. Let me get this. Here's what a concerned parent said. Yeah, these are proposing. If we can put this up there. Pedro Fabre, and then I'm quoting you, argued that providing condoms is like giving a 17-year-old boy a Lamborghini. It doesn't matter if you give them the car. The motor skills aren't ready, and they're going to crash. And what happens, he continued, the parents have to pick it up. There's a lot of truth to that.
Right, and the parents aren't brought into this. This is the problem. The parents are not told about
That's what
this.
he's talking about.
Right, it's horrible. It's absolutely. And
But what about the point, do you see the point that he's making about you're just giving permission?
There was a big thing made in the news the last 2 days. There was a killing in Brookline. Mm-hmm. And the reason why there was such a big to-do about it, because it's not now 2019. The last time there was someone killed in Brooklyn was 2006. That's 13 years ago. Okay? Now, what does that say? That says that it's so unusual for someone to have that happen to them in Brookline that it's now making big news. Okay? This city, okay? This is all summits. This city is ridiculous. We talk about this every week. We seem to get nowhere. You've got a city council that gets into election offices every single year.
17 for 17 elected officials.
You got a mayor
elected.
that comes and goes. You said that he actually ran for mayor because he was making more money to be mayor than he was on the city council.
Was that his motive?
Probably.
Okay, go ahead.
Probably. But hear me out. If you get up early in the morning and you drive down the streets and see who's attending your schools, you will know the kind of city that you have.
Meaning?
You have a third world city.
Is that what you see, Ralph?
I think one of the problems is we have the.
Ralph, yes or no? Do we have a third world city in Lynn? Just say yes or no.
It's getting there. I'm gonna promise you.
781-780-9460. They're claiming that Lynn is a third
And
world
the problem
city.
is that the school committee and the state, with the state, is taking over the family. In other words,
That's happened across the country,
I
Ralph. I mean,
understand that.
California's in the
I
pit.
understand that, but this is a horrible thing. So if a girl had sex the night before and wants to take Depo-Provera with the school nurse, she can send them, even though she has high
Well, let
blood
me
pressure.
get to that.
School
Hold it,
committee,
Ralph.
what
I want to
the
get to the
hell-
poll
What the hell
question.
does the school committee do? You know what they do? Can I be perfectly frank with you with one word? Nothing.
Well,
To the poll. This
Nothing.
week's poll. Do you favor the Lynn Community Health Center providing condoms, dispensing oral contraceptives, injecting Depo-Provera, and providing Plan B emergency contraception to Lynn's high school students? Now, it's a pretty long,
Right.
because I want to include everything.
Right.
And we're going to show a little video
Right.
from Planned Parenthood, mind you, and their agenda, and we'll get to
That
it.
is
You
their
know,
agenda,
when
that's
you
why it's
enter a
happening.
city, they say the city of brotherly love,
Right.
let them put that up on the city.
That's why all this has happened, because of Planned Parenthood.
Well, we're
It's
going to see
coming from
a
national,
film
I'm
by
telling you.
Planned Parenthood on what you call that, the injection that I never knew a thing about. If we can put that up there, Pedro.
Is pregnancy not in your plans for the immediate future? Are you looking for birth control you can count on but don't have to think about every day? You might want to consider Depo-Provera, the birth control shot. The shot prevents pregnancy for 12 weeks. That's about 3 whole months of not having to worry about getting pregnant. And it's easy. A quick visit with your healthcare provider, a little poke, and you're covered for 12 weeks. No one even needs to know you're using birth control. How does it work? Well, the shot contains a hormone. It prevents your body from releasing an egg. It also thickens the mucus of your cervix to make it harder for sperm to enter your uterus. And it's effective. Fewer than 1 in 100 women will get pregnant each year if they get the shot every 12 weeks. The shot doesn't protect against sexually transmitted infections. Use condoms if you're concerned about preventing STDs. And like other hormonal medications, the shot may have some side effects.
That's it. Go ahead.
Right.
Look who's doing this commercial.
Planned Parenthood.
No.
You're talking about the girl?
Look at the girl.
Yeah.
What color is her skin?
Brown?
A deep brown. That's no suntan.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Look what she's saying.
What is she saying?
She's telling you how not to get pregnant. She's not telling you how not to do it in the first place, okay? What an absolutely despicable commercial.
Who put it out?
Don't ask me.
Planned
Parenthood.
Right.
Planned Parenthood. Oh, well,
By the way, did you know that Planned Parenthood is subsidized by your tax dollars?
Right.
Aren't they?
And right, and also
not by my tax dollars.
and
I got a
Depo-
very shrewd accountant.
What isn't said on that is
Okay.
absolutely Depo-Provera is an abortifacient. It causes abortions.
You know,
Ralph,
It causes
why don't
abortions,
you
it
make
does.
why don't you make a definitive statement for once in your life? Okay.
I did. I just
Okay.
did.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You see that girl up on the screen?
Yes.
Is she a minority?
Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with
Yes,
it.
it
Really.
does.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, all right, Ralph.
But
Thank
I
you.
think that
Look, here's the thing. Folks, I enjoyed a joyous occasion, actually, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
My granddaughter gave birth to a lovely little girl.
Congratulations.
And, you know, sex is a wonderful thing.
Right.
But like Mr. Pedro, I forget his name, mentioned about the Lamborghini,
Right.
there's a point in time when you're mature enough.
Right.
But hear me out for a
And
second.
we give a permission to kids to
Right.
be reckless.
You are saying that your granddaughter
Yeah.
married another gentleman.
That's true.
They got married in a church or someplace with an official.
Yeah.
They had a wedding. They had a life together, and then under proper circumstances,
Had
they had a child. This is not the same thing,
That's
sir.
the point.
Is what they
Now
do.
you-
Aren't they promoting sex when they're passing
No,
out condoms?
they're not. They're promoting irresponsibility.
Absolutely.
This is-
Absolutely.
That's
This
the first
is
time
the
you
problem.
said this
Right.
tonight. I agree with that. That's not
Oh,
irresponsibility. That's asininism.
Well, the point is this: is
Why
that I
was-
am not sure that the responsibility of teaching your kids values is with the parents.
Yeah.
Not with the
Right.
school.
Because I'll stop right there. That just goes to show you what's living in this city.
I don't
told
know
you-
if it's this city or if it's now a coursing of the culture.
No. Yeah, that's fine, but it's very evident in this beloved city.
Let me
In this beloved city.
let me.
Here's what drives me crazy. Not only do they not tell the parents, they don't tell they don't even consult if they're going to give this pill, they don't consult the child's physician. They won't even consult a physician. It's unbelievable. Now, Gately promised me when I talked to her.
Who's Gately?
She's on the school committee.
She voted for it.
She voted for. And
All right,
she
so
told me
everything
she
you
was go-
said about her, she voted for
I
it. It
voted
was a
for her.
unanimous vote.
I voted for her because she was supposed to put a codicil in to at least tell the doctor she didn't do it, and now this is why people don't vote, Joe.
The school
This is why they
committee,
don't
you
vote.
say the school committee. Everything always has a definition that ends in the word committee. You've got a lot of committees here in this city.
Ruled by committee?
Abolish them all.
Right.
The school
I did-
committee.
I did my due diligence when I talked to Gately about that. I'm very concerned about that. I talked to her, and she promised me she would do something, and she didn't do it. I voted for her because of that, and now she changed.
Look,
She changed her mind.
I don't want to
And you
get into
wonder why,
individual
Joe, why we-
personalities. What I'm
why we
interested
don't vote
let's go
anymore.
to the big issue. The big issue, and I asked these folks.
You think they have that kind of a commercial in Brookline?
Of course not.
Do you think they have that kind of commercial
Of course
in
not.
Newton?
Of course not.
Do they have
And
that kind of commercial
so
in
why
Linfield?
was that commercial put up there?
Because this is Lynn.
No, because that is what they're pushing. The agenda being pushed is paid by federal dollars, tax dollars, in order to get an
But
that
if
is,
it wasn't predominant in this city, they wouldn't have that on.
but it's predominant in L.A. It's predominant in Chicago and Baltimore
We're
and St.
not
Louis.
there. We're
I
in Lynn.
understand.
We're
but
in Lynn.
Planned Parenthood is national.
Right.
It's not local to Lynn. So we have to talk about it on a
All of
macro
this goes
basis.
through the building down here, the clinic down here. It all goes through there. You understand that? And it's all government, That's why the government wants to control
Ralph,
everything we do.
Why are we at this point that we have to turn around and parents can be excluded from participating?
I've been saying this all week on Facebook, and of course they come back to me with, because the law says that it has to be.
The law is not necessarily right.
Of course it's not
If
right.
you have a mother and father,
Yes.
and the mother and father leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe even earlier, and come home around 8 o'clock at night, okay, what are you going to tell them about their kids? What the hell are you going to tell them about their kids?
So what do you propose?
What do I propose? They shouldn't be here in the first place.
No, you're talking about people who today get up, a mother and a father. I mean, my children, both my daughters and their husbands work. They have to.
Okay, but at 6 o'clock, everybody sits around the kitchen table
Sure.
and breaks bread.
Sure.
Okay, that's not the same with these people. Okay.
So you say it's a cultural thing?
Yeah.
Well, they go to school today and they get free lunches and free breakfast. Of course they don't have.
And
sit
on
around.
Sunday they should get brunch.
They should get everything.
They should get brunch
free
on
turkey
Sundays.
Dinners, free turkey dinners.
So what happens if, Ralph, you're a big fan of affordable housing?
Well, I didn't say I was a big fan. I'm saying my
That's the
problem
same
is-
principle, Ralph.
Here's what I say.
Ralph, don't be a communist,
No,
okay?
no.
Don't be a communist.
Down the Pelican one night, I was talking to this lady down there, and her rent went up from $800 to $1,400 in 1 month. And she works, she has a decent job.
Okay,
She only
so
makes
we understand that.
$34,000.
How
I
can
feel
they
bad for those
justify that
people.
type of an
I'm a
increase?
compassionate
Wait
conservative.
a minute, let me ask you
Joe.
that. How can anybody can be compassionate? That's a cop-out. I want to know. Yes, I'm sorry.
There's no such word in the English language, compassion.
All Jews are compassionate. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you right now, there is no such word as compassion.
I'm moving
Okay.
on, boys. Impeachment hearings. Boom. Or was it a dud? 781-780-9460. So all of this stuff about bombshells and this and that and the rest of it, I got to be honest with you, I found it fairly boring.
Somebody made a comment about the man that was testifying for hours yesterday, the guy who's the ambassador to the European
Yeah.
Union, that he was actually enjoying this. He was holding court.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He was laughing, making jokes.
I mean, he was so impressed with himself.
yeah.
Okay.
And he threw everybody under the bus.
Okay, he was so impressed. And the thing is, I would like to know how expensive was the restaurant they were all eating in Kiev when all this phone call took place. Were they eating in McDonald's? I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
These guys are paid a fortune. If we ever throw money down the toilet, it's paying for these people's salaries.
Talk about the diplomats?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. They're not diplomats. They're morons.
What did you get out of the hearing?
Nothing.
Well,
I'll tell you what I got.
What'd you get?
I got that under Trump, the Ukrainians are infinitely better off as being protected against Russian aggression than they were under Obama.
Well, the Russians-
Under Trump, a lot of people are better off.
the Russians stopped the aggression. They stopped the aggression. There's been no further aggression under Trump at all.
And so why are they knocking him?
They
Don't results count anymore? I noticed something at the hearings, however. I saw separation by birth. Now take a peek at this, if we have that. You see the two guys? You see that here, Tasso? And you see Steve Casper? Do they look alike to you?
They look
Marginally?
Alike. They look alike, yes.
That's it? 781
When is this all going to end?
9460.
When is this going to end?
What? The hearings?
Yeah.
They ended today.
You know, I wonder if there'll ever be an impeachment vote, because it'll
There will
really,
be.
really hurt some of those Democrats, and they will
No,
get
they will
knocked
be.
out.
We got a few cartoons we're going to throw up there for kicks. Tim, how are you? Tim? Hello?
You're on, Tim.
Good evening, Joe, again. Thank you. Listen, the aggression is still going on with Russia. People are dying daily over there. As far as the hearings, I watched it completely yesterday. They got nothing on Trump. But if you watch the news this morning on 4, 5, 7, they took little bits of this, little bits of that, little bits of this, and made it look like Trump was the devil. It was amazing what they did.
There
was no quid pro quo on receiving money. There was one. You make the announcement, we will have a meeting. That was that. That was the art of the deal. Had nothing to do with the money. And they news channels completely turned it around.
Okay.
Good, Tim, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
The Inquisition, if we can throw that up there, a few cartoons. And I think there's a lot of truth to this. The Inquisition, do we have that one? There it is. See it there? So, Adam Schiff, he's the judge, jury, and the executioner. It appears that way, doesn't it?
All right.
Let's go to due process. And this, what's the 6th and the 14th Amendment? We have that one there. You see the fellow in the middle there? It looks like from Australia. It's called due process and the 6th and 14th Amendment. Do we have that little, if we don't, that's okay. Apparently not. Let's move over to...
It has a lot to do with the 6th Amendment. I'm not so sure of the 14th Amendment. It has a lot.
The 14th plays off of this. There it is right there.
Okay.
You see, in effect, that means there's no due process. Has the president received any due process like any other citizen? No. He's been guilty until he
The
proves himself.
6th Amendment says you have a right to face your accuser.
That's the 6th.
The 6th.
Right. The
6th
14th
Amendment.
is an extension of the 6th. And
14th.
arguably unconstitutional.
Okay, right.
You guys want to talk about technicalities?
They were.
The
We went over
14th
this
Amendment
before.
didn't have 3/4 of the states voting in his favor.
That is technically true, but I think they ratified it
Oh,
afterwards.
really?
Yeah.
But pants on fire. This is really. Here's Adam Schiff. I don't know the identity of the whistleblower. I don't know it. We got that up there? Oh, he doesn't know it. Pants on fire. That's one of the great lies of all times, isn't it?
We know who the
I know that.
I said who it was.
Do you think Adam Schiff knows who the whistleblower is?
Of course he knows who
So
it
how
is.
can he stay up there
Right.
every day in front of all of those people and say,
Right.
and he's
Right.
asking people, here's the other thing I want to know. Explain this to me, Auburn. How come everybody goes there, they put their hand up, and the chairman says, so help you God, when half of them don't believe in God to start with?
Well, do you know at the Democratic Committee, National Convention a few years ago, when they said something about let's give some service to God when they were going to have the prayer, they all booed. Many of them booed, not all of them.
Well,
But
then
God
why,
was
Ralph?
booed.
Why, Ralph, when they go there, they say, so help you God? How come that hasn't been exercised?
Well,
you know why? Exactly,
they've
because that
tried
would turn off a
exercising.
whole bunch of people in this country, wouldn't it?
No.
That's exactly. It's not done by accident.
Not as many, turned off not as many as it used to have, though. We're going in the wrong direction.
Snippets from the Democratic debate, if we can put that up there. Topics that weren't asked. They didn't mention a thing about, were asked about Jeffrey Epstein. That's a big issue.
That's not for them.
Yes, it is, because it affects the Clintons.
Well, yeah, but so what?
Supreme Court. They didn't talk about Supreme Court, and you know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not in great health, right? There'll be a vacancy, that's for sure. They didn't talk about the national debt. They didn't talk about the Electoral College. They didn't talk about Syria. They didn't talk about Biden's dealings with the Ukraine when he's a VP.
They're too focused on trying to get rid of Trump.
What was that?
They only have one thing in mind. Between now and the next 3 months, they got to get rid of Trump.
Yeah, but they can't. There's only one question on immigration. That's all they asked. One question on immigration. Now, here's what they did ask about. They asked about impeaching Donald Trump. They asked about divided politics. And they asked about women's reproductive rights.
Right.
And you know what? The entire panel, if you want to be sexist, did not have one male.
Have you known what's dropped out of sight completely?
What was that?
Do you know one issue that's dropped out of sight completely?
No.
Building a wall and keeping people from coming in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's that debate gone?
There's going to be 500 miles that will be built by the time the election takes place. The media doesn't want to talk about it. I mean, seriously, right?
That's
It's
true.
on schedule.
Right.
The actual apprehensions. Oh, we have an interesting video that says from a Democrat from California that says it all. If we can put that up there, he's a big critic of Donald Trump.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call. Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone.
You know,
That's why you got to be careful where you put your microphone. That's why I get mine high all the time.
one of the great retorts on that was that Donald Trump Jr. tweeted he finally said something that made sense. All right, and he utterly denied that happened.
Right.
I'm wondering what was Chris Watt? Was it Chris Matthews? I mean, he got a tingle.
Last night on the debate,
Yeah.
okay, why is the debate always on TV that you have to pay for? It's not on a national channel. It's not on
It must have a
ABC.
very low rating. That's right. It was on
it's-
MSNBC last night, which
it's-
I
that
get
was
because
it.
I got to pay for.
It's not on ABC, NBC, or CBS, or the public broadcast.
Was it anywhere else? Because I just
No,
I don't think it was on there anywhere
no.
else. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know how they expect to get any ratings or.
Well,
what people watching.
but I'm just saying that's a very interesting thing. Why is
Yeah.
it? Because I'll tell you why. They're appealing to people that they think might vote for them, as opposed to putting it nationally as the people who won't vote for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
think they would vote?
if you're talking about MSNBC, that would be the Democratic liberal left base,
Okay,
right?
okay.
You're right. That was to reinforce, to make sure that the base stays intact.
Right.
Just like
Right.
none of them will go on Fox News.
Right, no.
Not the Democrats.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this. The question that should have been asked, although I didn't see the debate because I couldn't get it, when Joe Biden entered the race, did he ever know that his son Hunter was going to be a major political player?
They didn't ask that
Maybe, right.
question.
But they did ask one good question, though. They asked they asked the question, I think, to Gabbard to the black woman from California,
Who's the black
Harris.
one from California?
Harris. I think they asked Harris.
Who insulted Gabbard,
Right,
who
right.
said that Gabbard
Right.
was, if you criticize the Clintons, they come after you with knives and guns. So Harris turned around, and she went after Telsey's her name, Gabbard from Hawaii, and said that she was out there poor-mouthing the Democratic Party. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, go ahead, I'm
but
sorry.
The good, no, that's okay. The good question was.
What's the good question?
They asked the governor of Louisiana was just elected this week,
Edwards.
and he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
But there was one thing about him that they did bring up. I didn't think they would bring up.
He's
pro-life.
pro-life. That's right.
All right. So the question was: is somebody pro-life? Should he be called out of the party? Should he be separated?
What
from
was
the
it? What was the
Democrat Party?
consensus?
And only one person answered it,
Who?
and she said it was not.
But what was the answer?
The answer was yes, we have to let him in, which I was surprised.
Well, who came out the best last night?
They claim Booker. They claim Booker did.
I don't know, really. I don't know.
How-
I think Warren was horrible. I know that.
What about Andrew Yang?
Yang? He looks.
He got
looks
some,
good.
yeah.
You know.
Who won that debate? Donald Trump did.
Right.
Because they were so bad.
That's absolutely true. Gabbard was good, by the way. She's a little
Yeah,
more.
but they don't like her because
don't like
she is opposed to war, and the globalists
right,
love war.
Right.
So
right.
she haven't seen war, tasted war, knows what war is all
Right.
about, can't stand it.
She was over in Afghanistan a couple of times, I believe.
Yeah, she
at
was.
least 2
She's a
times, I
major in
think.
the,
And she's from Hawaii.
And she's
Right.
from Hawaii.
That's no great thing in her court either. At the same time, Joe Biden, what did he say? You mean to tell me they didn't ask him what's going on with his
No, they did not ask him that
No.
question at all.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
How come you don't have? How come you can't get these cable stations if you're?
I have
Because
cable.
you have to pay for that.
I have
particular-
cable, but I don't. But MSNBC must be on another package, which
It's
I.
a package you got to pay some money for. That's what it is. That's
Yeah,
probably why you don't
but
have
what
it.
if you don't want to, Ralph?
Ralph, I have.
I mean,
I have affordable TV.
Right, Mr.
Affordable TV.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mr. Affordable Housing.
I have Section 8 TV. Okay.
Do you have affordable TV?
Yes.
I pay over $100 for the
Do you
stupid
really?
cable every month.
Do you
Yeah.
really?
What do you pay? $10 to get the basic
I-
plan?
Wait a
I
minute.
pay
You
34.
sell for $100 for
Over $100 for cable.
For
yes.
cable TV, your
Yes,
phone,
yes,
and-
yes. No. Just for cable. My phone is. I have a separate phone, and I get the
My
internet
cable,
a different way.
separate is $34 a month.
Really? My God. Oh my. I
Okay.
did that like 20 years ago or
Well,
something.
Well,
No.
wait a
How
second.
do
You
you
have
do
to
that?
understand something. Avram is driving around in a vintage classic car
Right.
that looks brand new.
Right.
What year is it?
Wait, I just had redone again.
Right.
Again?
I just got it back again.
By the way, where's Maxine?
I have to go to Brookline for 4 days.
Right.
It's the 24th anniversary of my dad's passing away.
Oh.
But
I can't bring a dog with me into that
Yeah.
environment. So a woman who I know very well, who came with me to get the dog in the first place, is a dog breeder. She took the dog for 4 days, and believe me, I'm going to be calling her every 15 minutes. I cannot. It's embarrassing how much I love my dog. The dog trainer who's coming on this show December 12th came to. He said, "You know, Avram, I deal with a lot of different kind of people, but I've never seen someone who the dog and you just love each other." I said, "I think that's a compliment."
It is a compliment.
Okay.
So you're not all that bad, you know.
I'm not saying that, but hear me out. I don't understand why there should be an uprising in the city of Lynn.
they don't.
There should be a revolution.
It's like what happened
in
to
the
me
city
with
of Lynn.
Gately. People that I know won't vote anymore because, like what happened to me with Gately, they go in, they say they're going to do something. You go vote for them. I vote. I swear, I voted for Gately.
And you just learned that now?
Well, I
You
tried.
just learned that now?
You know, how many? You have to stop believing in something.
Why?
You have
To quote Woody Allen, a politician is 3 steps below a child molester.
That's true. But this is one of the reasons why we have such a low voter turnout. People give up. I
You
mean, I
think
should
that's the
give up.
case?
I should give up. I should give up. Really.
Most of the people in this city, from the little that I've learned, don't have the time and the wherewithal to vote. They're too busy working. And you talk
Too busy.
And Malcolm talks about absentee ballots. They don't even know what that term is.
They do if the elected ones want to. They collect them on purpose.
This is the
Look,
only big city that has no damn newspaper that puts on
the
the front.
newspaper is, I don't want to get into it. We've said this on this show consistently. I'll say it one more time. The organized minority will always, inevitably, beat the disorganized majority. They like it that way.
Right.
The small cadre of individuals
The good-
run everything.
right.
You say there should be a revolution. Yeah, they should. They had one, by the way, in
When?
the Ukraine. In the Ukraine, right? And what was it? 2014?
But they got people broadcasting and talking about it. You got no one broadcasting and talking about it here.
Of course not.
This is a silent city.
Yeah. What's happening in Hong Kong? Don't you tell me that. Aren't they uprising there finally? And you know what? You said something, another profound thing last week, that they would, that if it wasn't for certain situations today, in the past, the Communist Party would have went in there and blown them all out in a day.
There'd be mass murder
All right, so why did they not do it?
because of public opinion on the world stage. okay?
Exactly. So tell me how anybody out there, and we had, by the way, I want to get to last week's poll, and I want to thank you folks. We got almost 100 responses.
97 hits.
97 hits on that poll.
Very good.
And what was the breakdown? Can you put that poll up there, last week's poll, Pedro? And I want to get that across.
And it was about Donald Trump.
It was, and here's the breakdown. The poll question was, did President Trump commit an impeachable offense? Actually, it was 57% of the folks in this listening audience, right?
Right.
Said yes, and 43 said no, which pretty much would be expected.
Right. Well, yeah.
Given the demographics,
You think
okay.
more conservatives would watch us, you would think. But
Well, let me get to Paul first. Paul, how are you this evening? Paul?
Paul,
Hello? Are you there, Paul?
Calm down. You're too wound up tonight, Abram.
Sorry, Paul.
Okay? The dog's a beautiful dog. He'll be well taken care of. Now, I just want to say to you guys, I have to disagree with you, Abram, on the Lynn School Committee that they should be abolished. You know that I'm a basher of people when they do bad in the city of Lynn, because I love my city. But I'll tell you, with the experience of the Lynn School Committee, with the people like Donna Capola, John Ford, Lorraine Gately, they're teaching the new young people how to do it. And with Mr. Tutweller as the new superintendent, this school committee is going to bring the Lynn school system right up into the 2026 or so, and it's going to be, you're going to see there's going to be new schools in Lynn, and there's going to be better education for every student that the city of Lynn teaches in school. And Joe Spina, I'm sure that you will see it right along the way, you know, as it grows on year by year, there will be less, you know, turmoil in the schools because Mr. Tutweller is a no-nonsense man. He's a real good superintendent. And like I said, with the experience of those three people, with Jared Nicholson and the other two, we got a good school committee. I can't say enough about them. I can't say the same about our city council, but they're going to get better. We just got to have patience, and we all got to stick together here. We can bring this city back to where it's got to be. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
You know,
Thank you.
yeah, I have to make a comment because Paul's absolutely right. He talked about order.
Right.
I've spent this week at English High School,
Right.
and Tom Strangey has done a marvelous job, and the faculty.
Is that school under control? You know what I'm talking
Absolutely,
about. Okay.
and so is in tech.
All right.
I can't speak to the others, but I suspect that they're in the same ballpark.
'Cause I'm on Facebook, I'm getting a lot of complaints from people about the school system.
Which one?
I'm on the Lynn Happens Facebook and the item Facebook.
Complaints
A lot of complaints
about the schools
about the
generically,
education,
or
yes.
high schools, or what?
In general, the way people are, the students
Well, I
are taught.
can tell
I
you-
don't know,
But
I'm
I
not
can.
there. But
Because
you
I'm
see,
there.
You're there.
I can tell you that Lynn English High School and Lynn Tech, the two that I spend most of my time at, are both very well run, and I've never had a problem in either one of the schools, and I've been there for a long time.
And
you know
as
that.
an educator, I only did it for 2
I
years.
do.
You know if you walk through the halls where the education is
I
going
do.
on.
I walk
don't
through
you
the
know
halls.
that? Yes.
I'm there all the time.
Right. You should go in
As
the
for the
classroom once in a
superintendent,
while.
I'm not familiar with him. It seems to me that he's trying to do the right thing. I don't know if he's going to be successful or not. I'm hoping he is, right? But we have some problems. And if anybody wants to shy away from the fact that we have some problems, well, then that's not going to help. And this whole issue that we talked about earlier, about condoms at the high school and contraceptives, teacher, you know, you can look at it from two different vantage points. You could say maybe it's a good idea that we don't want these kids reproducing for the reasons you said, right?
To give out those condoms doesn't increase what you tell them to have more
I
sex.
understand it, but the rationale is, it's just like Margaret Sanger. Was
Right.
Margaret Sanger a humanitarian?
No, she hated black people.
That's exactly right. So she wanted to cull the population.
But the rationale is, why are these people even talking about this in the first place?
That's right.
Right.
It should be.
They should be talking about
It should not be
curriculum.
an issue to start with.
It shouldn't even enter someone's mind.
Right.
Well, see, Paul is being hopeful, and I want to join up with Paul on being hopeful. I'm hoping, and maybe I'm going to be disappointed. And I love the city just as much as Paul does.
But there's
You know,
not enough Pauls
I
in the
chose to
city.
come back. I didn't have to.
There's not enough
What?
Pauls in the city. That's the problem. There
There are more than you
of them.
think.
Maybe, I don't
And
know.
I don't know if this is true, Paul, if you're still listening, but someone told me today that Paul McGrath's project down there on the storage building has gone through the approval process. I don't
really?
know if it's
Pat
true.
McGrath.
Pat McGrath, I'm
I
sorry,
thought it
thank
was
you.
already knocked off by the committee, wasn't it already?
Well, apparently, I may be wrong. I happen to have my car repaired
Okay.
at my cousin's auto body shop, who actually was at that
Was there
site.
before,
for-
yeah.
Apparently, what it comes down to is they don't like Pat McGrath.
You mentioned that last week. I'm getting to think that maybe there's something to that.
It's got to be.
Well, Paul pointed out,
Maybe they're jealous of the fact that this guy came out of nowhere and is doing very well financially.
he also has done some really good stuff. That's what Paul talked about last week on Western Avenue. That really is.
He's already put in some units.
So, okay.
And he's from Lynn. He's not from Greater Lynn. He's from Lynn.
But you have a mayor who's saying, who the hell is this guy, Pat McGrath, doing all this stuff for the city of Lynn?
And what Paul said last week, that he filled up the building almost immediately, and that goes to show you.
You were
that
on Western Avenue?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the demand for housing is enormous. It's just simply enormous. I think I just read somewhere where it's about 1% of all the housing units in Lynn. Only 1% are unoccupied right now at this present time. That's an awfully small
Then
amount.
I didn't even know about this. We're having some auto body work done on my car. Across the street is where they built this really fancy pot shop on Highland Avenue.
Yeah.
You know, right next to the big Walmart.
Yeah. I drive by it all the time. I haven't seen hardly anybody there, to be honest with you.
There's nobody there.
So you notice the same thing
I
I've
was there
noticed?
for hours with my car. I'm telling you, there's nobody there, and that place must have cost a fortune to redo it like that.
I agree. I saw them out through the whole process.
And yet, going back to what I said 2 weeks ago, you got two executives from Apple and Google who raised, not didn't borrow, who raised $175 million. They went bust.
Yeah. So what's that tell you?
I got to tell you that it's not going to be the gravy train you think it is.
Of course not. But the politicians want you to think so because they want to use that revenue to project so they can spend money telling you.
I happen to say to a guy, and also in Brookline, which is doing reasonably well, I mean, they got a lot of people there. You see what the town did? The town is now passing a law that in order to go there, you have to make an appointment.
To get.
Right.
Okay.
There's an article in the Globe today that the revenue nationally from it is only a third of what they thought it would be.
Of course.
I'm surprised it's even that high.
I know.
I want to talk about Tim Fenton, who mentioned 94 votes on our last poll. He said that's about what most city councils got.
Right.
Some truth to that, right?
Yeah.
Dave Riley did a very long, and the net bottom line is that President Trump was pulling the stunts. If this was a Democratic president pulling the stunts that Trump is pulling, then Republicans would be calling for their head. Sick and tired of partisan politics that are destroying this country. He's right about that.
David's right about that. I've talked to some people who like are neutral. They're not really heavy liberal or conservative, and they're just fed up with the whole thing. And I bring up the thing. We need a lot of work done to roads and bridges in this country, and the votes are almost 100% in the House and Senate, but the Democrats won't bring it up. Revenue bills have to be brought up in the House, and they won't bring it up. And we put people to work. This country would be even greater than it is now.
As we speak right now, Speaker Pelosi has held up everything.
Yeah,
laughed at everything because they don't want to give Trump any victories.
They did
and
it.
Nevertheless, do you want to know something? You want to hear the irony? Do you know his poll numbers are going up?
I know.
But at some point in time, this has to come to a final conclusion.
Yes, but who is tearing the country apart? That's the point.
Well,
is it Nancy Pelosi or is it Donald Trump? You tell me. You tell me, folks. Is it Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, or is it Donald Trump? You know, Donald Trump, the stock market's doing pretty well. Unemployment rate among minorities is practically zero. I mean, he's done a marvelous job in a whole bunch of communities. Why isn't anybody talking about that?
But let me go back a bit. Why would not ABC, NBC, CBS, and the public broadcasting stations, which are pretty powerful organizations, say, why are you not putting the debate on our channels?
I have no idea.
No, that it is a great. If the Democrats are the party of the lower class, supposedly, why don't they have it in class? Because
wait a minute.
even Avram
I got to stop you right there. Hillary Clinton got more money from Wall Street than anybody, and she's definitely not a Republican.
But supposedly,
oh yeah, Silicon Valley, Cook from Apple, Google, the whole shoot guys. All that money goes to Democrats.
On the channels where everybody can pick up, even over the air.
Because the Democratic committee does not want them on those big channels. They want to have a tighter race so they can control who's going to vote for the.
That's exactly right. The organized minority. You're absolutely right.
Saying, but it doesn't make sense to me.
But
it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I want to get to Donna May Stevens, Harkness. That's a pretty long name. And thank you for the comment. She said no, speaking about the impeachment. She said, no, it's foolish. It's a waste of taxpayers' money on a basic accusation once again. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, too.
I'm seeing more and more conservatives coming out on the local Facebook. I'm surprised. Because I usually don't have anybody.
Is it an issue of conservatism or is it of right? Is it? I mean, this is not conservative liberal. Justice isn't partisan, is it?
No, but
should it be? It is, but should it be?
The reason why they're doing this impeachment thing is for control, so they can control
the press did not like Richard Nixon.
No, and they've got rid of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
The press does not like Donald Trump.
But the question is why?
But they can't get rid of him.
But why?
Because he tells it to them the way that is.
And the funny thing is, Nixon was one of the most liberal presidents we've ever had, if you really think about it.
I'm well aware of that.
He wanted to have everybody have $12,000.
So why didn't they like him?
I think it was a matter of control. They just
it was a matter of he went after communists in California.
He did go out. He did. Well,
Yeah,
he was more
that's why.
conservative
Because the liberal left, and if you don't think that
he called the governor of California a communist, Governor Brown. The old man, Governor Brown, he called him a communist.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
But
by the way,
he was more of a conservative as a governor.
Who?
Nixon. He was more of a conservative as a governor.
He wasn't either. Richard Nixon was a big government guy who believed in government.
Right.
He was a technocrat, like Charlie Baker.
Right. He was
You
a
don't,
Charlie
you don't put a
Baker,
label on
absolutely.
it. You mentioned the guy from Louisiana, as this is a big deal. He beat Rapone, who no one ever heard of,
Right.
never ran for office again, by less than 2 or 3, not
Right.
percentage points, tenths of a percentage
Tenths, I
point.
know.
Okay? It was almost 50-50.
But that's how the whole election is.
Hold it. You said the key word. The reason why he was elected, he's the only elected Democrat
Right.
in the Deep South.
Right.
Why? Because he's not a Democrat.
No,
Not only
he's
that,
more
but
of a Republican.
Louisiana is like almost a foreign nation.
Of course it is.
Okay? It's not like really part of the
No.
USA. It's part of the USA, but it's really not.
No, it's the it's kingfish country.
They got their own language. They got their own thinking.
That's right. And that Edwards, by the way, is so far right. He makes Charlie Baker look like a communist, for God's sakes. Okay,
Right.
So you think the guy from West Virginia, Senator Manchin, you think that he's going to go along with the impeachment? You think he's going to vote for impeachment?
No, I don't think so.
And he's a Democrat.
Right.
Okay.
Because he's gonna
I'm going to
lose.
give you a number of Democrats that will not,
No.
senators will not vote for him.
And I bet there's over 20 Democrats in the House will not vote for impeachment.
What about
at least
Deval
20.
Patrick?
What about him?
That's a good question. What about him?
Yeah,
I'll
that's
ask you,
exactly right.
What about him?
Hello, goodbye.
Hello.
right.
I would even say hello. I just say goodbye.
That's probably right. What's happening, however, is Bloomberg is still moving toward announcing. And he has the wherewithals to make it interesting.
Because he's got a lot of money.
Exactly.
He has about
Okay.
as much chance as I do of becoming
But
president.
he
It's
doesn't.
Bloomberg, come on.
There's no way. I think at the end of the day, he's not going to do
You
it.
can't get in now. It's too late. It's too
Let
late.
me ask this question. We only have a couple of minutes left. And by the way, if I forgot, the beginning of the show, happy Thanksgiving. We won't be here
Thanksgiving.
next week.
We won't be here next week, Thanksgiving.
So
Put
we
my
got a couple of
Thanksgiving
minutes.
day cap.
My dog was invited to someone's house for
He'll
Thanksgiving.
be back.
I want to
Yeah.
put my
Can I go
Thanksgiving
too?
Day cap on.
So why is it, very good, you look, I like all these
You like
stunts.
this?
Why is it that Trump's numbers have been going up as a consequence of the impeachment hearing? You don't hear that from anybody, but they actually have been going up.
It's the same reason for people who voted for him. It's the silent majority.
So you're saying that the narrative we're getting has nothing to do with the reality.
Absolutely not.
And you, funny man,
Oh, I don't think so.
you don't think what?
No, I don't think so at all.
What? Think so about what?
But what we're just talking about, I don't think so.
When we're talking about why are Trump's numbers going up
Why is Trump's
with
numbers
all of
going up?
the fuselage, is that what you call it? All the
And the stock market
and what I
broke
say is-
28,000. Why? Is because no one is really paying attention to any of this
The numbers
nonsense.
in the aggregate don't mean anything. It has to do with each single district.
let me throw a
in
theory out there.
Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, all the states that he needs. The aggregate numbers don't mean anything. You have to look at Pennsylvania.
We
You have to
understand
look
that.
at
That's
Minnesota.
electoral college. But here's the
Well, that's
point.
the only thing that means anything.
Here's what means
The
everything.
aggregate numbers
Here-
mean nothing.
You know why you have all these folks on there?
What?
Like Bologna Hill, great voice, with the British accent.
Yes.
Because Trump said to the Europeans, pony up, fellas. You're not going to get a free ride anymore. That's why the whole State Department diplomatic has gone bananas. Because he's saying, you know what, I'm protecting the taxpayers' money.
Also, you know what he did? He's got a heart. He pardoned 3 military men.
He did.
That the military said, don't do that, because they didn't really do anything wrong. They're in war. The guy shot somebody that he thought was going to shoot somebody else. Okay? He didn't just walk down the street and all of a sudden walk into someone else and say, okay?
Yes, but we have people in the State Department and in the military nowadays who have different views. We have to do a wrap-up. Enjoy that turkey.
Right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Good night. Shalom.